Like Shinde, where are you? I'm here. It's the fat guy looking for me. I responded to him. The chubby person walked through the thick fog, appeared in front of me. He looked around. Yi Wendao. Like Shinde, where is my master? I saw him off. You sent him away. This is a desolate wilderness. Where did you send him? In the wilderness. I gazed again towards the distant village. Where else is there a village? A swirl of dark energy envelops. It is a malevolent aura. I will walk through the process of Zhao Leixi's spirit. Gave a rough overview to Wang Pangzi. Wang Pangzi, hearing this, stopped his feet in frustration. Lie, brothers. Below, you are at least a disciple of the ghost path. You hold a porcelain sword. Even the ghost messengers can't tell the difference. You were deceived. That thing took Master's soul away. I felt a wave of guilt. No wonder Zhao Leixi. The spirit will encounter the man in the black robe. Will continue to struggle. The ghostly enforcer uses the soul-binding chain. And near where the ghost messengers appear, there are land temples everywhere. But just after that black smoke, there is no such thing as a land temple. Moreover, he directly grabbed Zhao Leixi. The soul has departed. I was really careless. Entering the mystical gate, made such a low-level mistake. But I still couldn't help but ask. Your master has been dead for so long. You are also a disciple of the ghost path. If I could walk in the shadows, do I still need to wait for you? After saying that, he sighed again. It seems the outcome of the matter. It is still heading in the worst direction. This cannot be blamed on you. After all, you and I have entered the mysterious realm. Facing this trap, that's closing in step by step. It's normal not to be able to move on. Fortunately, the master had anticipated this step long ago. Let's go. Let's hurry up the mountain. We must guard master's body. Wang Pangzi finished speaking, then pulled me along, heading up the mountain. I was pulling my hand away from his. You go up first. I will go retrieve Senior Zhao's soul. Wang Pangzi hesitated for a moment. Then, Cho, you have a word arrow. It was just a moment of carelessness. I was just blinded by the opponent's illusion. Even if we are no match for him, it's not that dangerous. There is still more. When I arrived, that ancient Miao girl, waiting for you outside the village ahead. I suspect the ancient Miao girl you brought, with the corpse handler. There might be an undercover agent among us. It is very likely that they lured that person here. You need to be more careful. Wang Pangzi finished speaking, hurrying towards the mountain peak. But his words made me worried. If it's true, so this undercover agent, it must be Wai Kun. I shouted at him, Wang Shindai, beware of the corpse driver, a person who is about to die. I can still handle it. Wang Pangzi's voice came through, but the person has already gone far away. I turned and headed towards, running ahead, ran out in one breath. 4 kilometers later, finally saw the village in the distance. A small village located halfway up the mountain. A scattered dozen households. Every place has a land temple. Some things are invisible to us Xiangxi, but the land temple truly exists. Running towards the village, I saw one, the shadow lingering at the village entrance. It is Ewer. Ewer waved at me. Xiao Ping'an. Why did you come alone? We were fooled. Someone tricked Zhao Leixi and stole his soul. I finished speaking to Ewer. Then he recited the incantation. The moment the porcelain sword appeared, I have already rushed towards the village, because I have already sensed the malevolent energy within. That person did not walk far away. Xiao Ping'an. Wait for me. Ewer followed along. But he did not possess the same power in the darkness as I did. not walking very fast. Arriving at the village entrance, a cool breeze stopped me in my tracks. Distant place. A tall figure is walking towards me. It is Lai Gang. I pointed my porcelain sword at him and said coldly, "You took away Zhao Laoxi's soul." Lai Gang did not speak. I rushed over. Lai Gang chanted a spell and threw out more than a dozen fingers. A dozen fingers pointed at me. The one who got close was sliced apart by my porcelain sword. It let out a piercing scream as it fell to the ground, and a thick black smoke began to rise. Every person is haunted by a vengeful spirit. Such a cruel and inhumane magic. This refers to the art of pointing. Truly, it is indeed dark sorcery. I slowly approached Lai Gang. Those who rush at me are all cut down by me. Before the porcelain sword, Lai Gang's finger-pointing technique, it's really not enough to see. Just as I was about to charge at Lai Gang, suddenly Ewer let out a sharp scream from behind. A little girl with braided pigtails pointed at someone who was entangled with her. Ewer could not resist. Then the person pointed and looked. It is the soul of a little girl, like an eagle's spirit. A person who passed away in childhood, the most vengeful. This person is quite extraordinary. I decisively gave up on pursuing Na Lai Gang. He turned around and rushed towards Ewer. She willingly used her bones as a medium to accept for me. I absolutely cannot ignore her safety. I swung my sword toward the finger that was entangling Ewer. With one sword strike, she actually avoided me. This person is very agile, can sense danger, possess a certain degree of intelligence. I pulled Ewer behind me. Another few swords struck down. Then came the girl's piercing scream. The little girl pointed at the person I split in half. Meanwhile, the light of my sword has dimmed significantly. This is when my mental energy is almost drained. I turned back to look at Ewer. Follow me. I must eliminate Lai Gang and retrieve Zhao Laoxi's soul. At that moment, Lai Gang's control over the pointer was also consuming a great deal of energy. She exudes a constant aura of menace, almost severely injured. At this moment, I can precisely locate her quickly using my sinister aura. But just at the moment I turned around, Ewer gave me a strange smile and reached out to grab my throat. For Ewer, I had no defenses at all. I was grabbed by the throat by her. I don't know where she got the strength from. I was choked by her grip, but as she kept exerting herself, I will soon stop coughing. I can't breathe, and struggling to break free. Even so, I also dare not strike her with this sword. I can't hurt her. I simply took Ewer into my arms. Two people are rolling on the ground. But my strength to struggle quickly became weaker. Ewer is still smiling at me. That eerie smile has turned into coldness. She wants to kill me. I used my last ounce of strength. He swung the sword towards her back. As long as I gently tap it down, even if she doesn't lose her soul, the soul will also be shattered by my hands. But I can no longer hesitate. Just as the sword was about to fall, I saw a finger pointing on Ewer's back. It turns out to be her. I suddenly understood everything. Ewer is being controlled by someone. I tore off the finger. Ewer also fell down, and fell into a coma after I pulled that person down, struggling constantly in my hands. I held onto her tightly, and with the last of his strength, he smeared his finger on the sword. A plume of black smoke billowed out, after the person let out a chilling scream. There was no sound. I lay on the ground, gasping and coughing, until more than 10 minutes later, that almost fainting feeling gradually faded away. I woke up, but I'm already exhausted, using the last bit of strength. Get up. Far away, suddenly, footsteps could be heard. The footsteps are quite unusual. The person coming should be wearing slippers. I looked towards the sound of footsteps. He is wearing a black short-sleeved shirt. A bone rosary hangs around the neck. A chilling aura wafted through the air. Wearing flip-flops, exposed arms and face. A middle-aged man with tattoos all over. He had a fierce and menacing look, walking step by step towards the outside. When I looked at him, a fear rising from the soul emerged. This instinctive fear let my nerves tighten again. I speculate. Just took away Zhao Leaxi's soul. It must be him. What a ghostly disciple! He opened his mouth, revealed a mouthful of yellow sprouts. I cautiously stepped back. At this moment, the magnetic sword's glow was nearly extinguished. Even if I rush over, it may not be easy to hit him with a single shot. Even if I hit it, it may not necessarily deal a heavy blow to it. He walked towards me, his pace quickening. He stared at the magnetic sword in my hand. There was greed in his eyes. Who are you?" I said in a hoarse voice. Just now I was pinched too hard by the moon. Speaking is very exhausting at this moment. He did not answer me, and has already come close to me. I pointed the magnetic sword in my hand at him. "Don't come over here." But what surprised me was, as soon as I said this, he actually stopped in his tracks. I certainly won't believe he is. I was tricked by me. But what surprised me even more was, at this moment, he actually started to retreat. His gaze was fixed intensely on what was behind us. It was as if there was a presence there that made him feel uneasy. I looked back in confusion. Not far behind me, a figure dressed entirely in black stood upright. The small figure wearing a straw hat. The ancient king will appear here. This truly shocked me. "Senior, how did you come here?" "I will walk towards the ancient king." The ancient king once again exited the Phoenix Valley. "I am very worried. Lai Lao Dai. It's not good." Wang Pangzi ran over from a distance. I looked at him. The middle-aged man covered in tattoos has already left. The emergence of the ancient king must not be known to Wang Pangzi. I charged straight at Wang Pangzi. "Fatty, what happened?" I asked him, and blocked his line of sight. But he pushed me away, looking towards the ancient king's direction. This makes me feel a wave of worry. The ancient king cannot leave Phoenix Valley. This is the pact with the celestial master. Strange. It seems I just saw someone. How did it suddenly disappear? Wang Pangzi first let out a sound of confusion. I turned back to look. The ancient king has vanished. He is so fast. But this is fine too. He makes people feel indifferent. But he violated the rules twice. Leave Phoenix Valley to save me. He has great kindness towards me. At that moment, the chubby guy replied anxiously, "Lai Leadi, my master's body is missing. I never expected things would turn out this way." "Who did it?" I asked Wang Pangzi. He shook his head. When I rushed back, "The master is no longer here." I asked again, "Where is Waikun?" "He is gone too." Could it really be Waikun? He is about to die, yet still have to work for that person in the north. What is he doing this for? It shouldn't be him. Given his current physical condition, it's hard to carry master's body away. Even if he is a corpse driver, it won't work. And I also found his soul-controlling spirit. Wan Pangzi handed over a bronze talisman. I received the bronze spirit. A sudden shaking. The chaotic sounds shook the mind. This is indeed Waikun's soul-controlling spirit. Since Waikun left the soul-controlling spirit, then we definitely can't take away Zhao Leaxi's body. He must have encountered an unexpected misfortune. I picked up the unconscious Ewer. Wang Pangzi looked at him with a wary expression. Could it be him? He is a disciple of Gu Wang. My answer is very simple. No need to explain so much. Anyone in this world could be the northern person's undercover agent. But the Valley King is impossible. Someone who can block that person from the north outside Phoenix Valley and preserve the last heir of the witch sect. He is the only one brave enough to confront directly and block the presence of that person from the north. It turned out to be his disciple. Wang Pangzi's shocked face was now tinged with apprehension. Xiao Ping'an, why are you holding me? Ewer has woken up. I felt a wave of embarrassment, and their face was flushed. I let go of Ewer, although he is somewhat weak, but luckily there were no major issues. Ewer asked me what happened. I roughly told him about the situation of being controlled by the person he pointed out, but it didn't mention that the Valley King appeared and saved us. On the way back to the Taoist temple, I asked Wang Pangzi, why did I leave the Taoist temple? Time jumped to the evening. Is it related to that massacre? Wang Pangzi, however, is mysteriously filial. You'll know in the future. This is the scheme of the master. It's all about delivering a surprise blow to that person in the north. Wang Pangzi's words, although I am confused, but they didn't continue to ask further. At that moment, I found Wai Kun's pipe. Wai Kun not only lost the soul-controlling spirit, the old pipe that he never let go of fell down. It is obvious. Wai Kun ran into trouble. We quickened our pace back to the Taoist temple. The Taoist temple is empty and desolate. The portrait of the Eagle Mountain ancestor has also disappeared. The lingering aura of malevolence in the temple. It made me feel a wave of familiarity. It is the aura of the Eagle Killer. A middle-aged man in a black outfit and tattoos impersonates a ghost messenger to deceive others. Zhao Leaxi's soul has left. Lai Gang used the pointing technique to block me from searching for Zhao Leaxi's soul. Eagle Shah is skilled in the resentment of the living. While we were going down the mountain, quickly controlled Wai Kun again and took away Zhao Leaxi's body. It turns out they had planned all of this long ago, and all along their purpose. Is it just to obtain Zhao Leaxi's soul and body? But why do they want Zhao Leaxi's soul and body? This reminds me of my grandfather, even Mr. Chen's corpse. The person from the north is also eager to obtain it. The purpose of that person from the north, it's truly hard to guess. Lai brothers, we must retrieve Master's body. This is very important. Wang Pangzi said to me seriously. I know. Wang Pangzi and I share a common goal. Common enemy. Moreover, we are fellow disciples. There is indeed trust between each other. Actually, the person who took Zhao Leaxi's soul was not Lai Gang. I decided to address the appearance of that middle-aged man in black with tattoos. Tell Wang Pangzi. Who is it? Wang Pangzi stared at me. Wait for me to continue. I will mention the appearance of the middle-aged man with a tattoo in black clothing, and the appearance revealed it to Wang Pangzi. Wang Pangzi shook his head and said, I've never heard of this person either. It should not be someone from the Xuanmain. Ewer also said, there shouldn't be any good people within the foggy gate. Xiao Ping'an, since you say that person is so formidable, but why did he let us go? Perhaps it's because they are wary of the arrows of words in my hand. I didn't say it. That person was driven back by the appearance of the Gu King. Even if it's Ewer, I must keep it a secret. But my words. Wang Pangzi and Ewer both felt suspicious. A presence that evokes a primal fear in me. Absolutely a being that can stand shoulder to shoulder with the top 5 of the Xuanmen. But this person, it could never be one of the top 5 beings at the Xuanmen 40 years ago, due to identity and appearance. And the ages don't match. At this moment, a sudden sharp pain in my chest. I bent down. I looked at Ewer. Ewer shook her head nervously. It's not me. The pain intensified once again. It felt like a needle piercing my chest. The pain made me curl up on the ground immediately. Constant twitching. I became aware amidst the intense pain, gradually becoming blurry. Before I fell into a coma, I felt it. This is not a curse poison outbreak. That is the torment deep within the soul. I have been cursed. When I woke up, it is already dawn. Newer has always been by my side, eyes bloodshot, carrying grievances. You can tell at a glance that they haven't slept all night. What's wrong, Ewer? After hearing my words, she burst into tears and struck my chest forcefully. Wang Pengzi walked over after hearing the sound. I looked up. This is her coffin shop. Bye, brothers. You finally woke up. Wang Pengzi looked at Ewer, with a look of reproach on her face. I can roughly guess the reason. I am not poisoned by a curse. It's dark magic. It's not poison. Wang Pengzi looked astonished and suspicious. I already said it. The evil spirit in the little piece. The dark art of soul control. You fat idiot. It's just indiscriminate. Thandi, what did you do to Ewer? I questioned her. Wang Pengzi shyly said, I just thought you were cursed. Said a few words to her. I can see it. The words of the fat man. It must be a bit heavy. Otherwise, Ewer wouldn't be so sad. I said in a low voice. Quickly apologized to Ewer. Sister Ewer, Lai Layati is not just my brother. They are still my fellow disciples. My ghostly path withers. Now only the 2 of us remain in this lineage. I misunderstood you in a moment of confusion. Wang Pengzi is someone who is easygoing. Straightforwardly apologized to Ewer. The attitude is extremely sincere. And she slapped herself twice. Ewer was amused. This guy can put his pride aside. But Wang Pengzi quickly turned serious and said to me, I think the evil spirit you're possessed by is related to the middle-aged man with the tattoo you mentioned. Actually, I have already guessed it. But Wang Pengzi was able to analyze it. Surely, they noticed something else. Wang Pengzi continued. Lai brothers, do you know about the war that happened in the south 30 years ago? I wondered, what does this have to do with my possession? The celestial master went north and never returned. The fall of the sorcerer king. The ancient king was imprisoned, cherishing the bond. Woman withering. The news of all the Xuanmen experts being lost in the north. It quickly spread to Southeast Asia. And that war between the 2 countries. It is the perfect time for the Southern Ocean cult to return to its homeland. So, they seized the opportunity just at the right moment and joined that war. Its purpose is to test whether there are still people in the Xuanmen, even thinking about taking their place. What happened next? Did they head south? Then Shen. Wang Pengzi sneered. I, the great emperor of China, have countless talents. Only one person came out. He dealt a heavy blow to dozens of South Sea cultists. Make them understand deeply. Sacred land. Never allow cultists to desecrate or invade. Southeast Asian cult returns to its origins. I asked in confusion, was this cult here before? Wang Pengzi nodded. During the Eastern Han Dynasty, originally, there were 8 people in Bashu who believed in primitive shamanism. Widespread debauchery harms the people. Xiangxi follows the decree of Taishan Leijun, slaying the Lik in the land of Shu, save the people. Xiangxi men. become a generation's grand master of Taoism, and now the Nanyang sorcerers. It actually stems from a branch of the original shamanism in the Shu region. After their failure back then, the remaining people fled to the barren southern wasteland. That is present-day Southeast Asia. And the Southeast Asia region, Wan Pangzi may not be very old, but knows a lot. This may be because he has been with Zhao Leasi for a long time. I was stunned. I actually once thought the necromancer of Shu refers to the Wu men, and Zhang Tianqi's babble with them back then represents the conflict between the Taoist sect and the witchcraft sect. It turns out this lit has quite the background. Wan Pangzi then said, "The original shamanism is indeed related to the shamanic sect." I tremble. What relationship? Even Ewer looked at him in surprise, waiting for him to continue. Before Zhang Tianqi, only harmony is true. There is no distinction between the Xuan men and Wu men, and the so-called primitive shamanism. It is actually a combination of the Xuan main and the Wu main, after continuously merging the two types of techniques. A newly established system of magical techniques, referred to as primitive witchcraft, later, because this lineage often resorts to unscrupulous means, and inherently brutal, often seen as a taboo to fall for the living, practicing the evil art of raising little ghosts to harm others. Thus they are also referred to as lip or evil beings. I see. I finally realized this. But the fat man suddenly said something shocking. I reached a haunted door. It is actually deeply connected with the original shamanism. Now, I was not only shocked, but the fat man said, "Do you know why I am behind the ancestor you worship? Shall we destroy the portrait?" The portrait of Yingxin Leyazu enshrined in the Taoist temple has been lost. It was destroyed by Wan Pangzi. I should have thought of it long ago. Yingxin Leyazu is, after all, an evil god, not recognized by the world. If others find out, I recognize the evil god as my ancestral master. Then I will be seen as a villain in the eyes of the world. After all, what Lai Lao Si said was, "Law has no righteousness or evil, good or bad. Only the user is either righteous or evil. Any kind of magic. They exist to help others maintain the balance of yin and yang. Not everyone thinks this way. In the eyes of some people, right is right and evil is evil. They will always keep the two apart." I replied to the chubby one, "He is the founder of the primitive shamanic religion." "That's right." The chubby man continued. The original shamanic teachings indeed emerged for the purpose of healing and saving people, cutting evil, driving away ghosts. That is why it gains the faith of the world. But as this field continues to develop, after the old ancestor of the Yin mountain, it quickly went off course, and conflicts arose internally. The lineage of the pure and tranquil mystic gate has become the path of ghosts. The faction leaning towards the witch sect became the original witch religion. The ghost path sect thus received the protection of Zhang Tianqi, and obtained the inheritance of the compassionate sword. But since then, I can only worship Zhang Tianqi in the path of the ghost. Yingxin Leyazu will naturally be forgotten, and we must always obey the commands from the generations of Longhu Mountain, the false celestial master with the mighty sword, according to what you said, the image of the Yingxin old ancestor. Since he is the founder of the original witchcraft, you should have debuted even earlier than Zhang Tianqi. So what is the deal with the magnetic sword in his hand? The fat one said, "Only the disciples of the ghost path can wield the magnetic sword. Apart from that, only the Zhang Tianqi from that year remained. Of course, I don't know about the Nanyang Zhang's corpse. Can you also control the magnetic sword? I want Perhaps this magnetic sword is indeed a magical artifact of my ghost path Xiangxi once gave us. It's just a matter of doing a favor. Of course, he exchanged this for it. It is the submission to my path of the ghostly way, and it also made us willingly leave behind a peculiar house rule. Spirit path disciple. One can only take one disciple in a lifetime, and after the disciple is born, one must transform the way. Such rules restricted the development of my ghostly path, led to the decline of talent in my ghost path lineage, until it gradually disappears. Wang Pangzi smirked at the corner of his mouth. Want to get rid of us, but could not find a legitimate reason. This is clearly his. Afraid that my ghostly ways will grow stronger, replace the entire Xuanmen. But even so, the top 10 figures of the Xuanmen, the last 3 people remaining in my ghostly path, it was also possible 40 years ago, all squeezed into the top 9. And they are the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th respectively. The great celestial master just after the north. Wan Pangzi's words. It leaves my heart restless for a long time. That being said, it's been a long talk. These are related to the one who took away Xiao Laoxi's soul. What does it matter? Wang Pangzi understood what I meant. Explain it. He should be the Nanyang Jiao II master. And what you planted. It should be the straw man craftsman in the cursed tree. Scarecrow craftsman. It is using straw figures as a medium. Write your birth chart on the straw man. Hair and nails were embedded in the scarecrow. Then he pricked the straw man with needles. Locking mechanism location. It will also affect the corresponding parts of the body of the general. Causes corresponding pain. The one who practices this technique. If the other party wants to kill you, within 7 days, will inevitably be pierced by thousands of needles and die. This technique and the fog gate's finger technique. Some similarities, but even more powerful. Wan Pangzi's words scared me quite a bit. Even Yuer. They tightly held my hand. He comforted me by saying, Zio Pingen, don't be afraid. Who dares to harm my Zio Pingen? I must catch him. Let him taste the corpse of the goo worm, the taste of death. I am not afraid. I smiled and comforted Yuer. We met by chance. He treats me so well. This favor I will not forget. Wang Pangzi said with a serious expression, if I'm not mistaken, the reason you are covered by his illusion. That ghostly envoy should also be transformed from a straw man to unravel the scarecrow's thoughts. We must find that person as soon as possible. But you haven't mentioned a key character yet. The battle from 30 years ago, who, with their own strength, defeated those Southern Ocean sorcerers. It is Deist priest Lai. I was puzzled. Deist priest Lai, those who survived and returned from the north. Is he Lai Deisheng one of the warriors? Wan Pangzi nodded. The character that only exists in legends. It turns out it never disappeared. I am shocked once again. Then where is he? It should be in the south. I've said so much. Actually, I need to tell you. If someone here can understand the scarecrow's thoughts, only Deist Lai remains. You are quickly said. Then let's quickly go find Deist Lai. Help Xiaping and relieve the pressure. We are leaving soon. Wang Pangzi is also very straightforward. But I was even more confused. Why does Wang Pangzi know? Lai Deisheng might be able to dispel the curse. Wang Pangzi looked at me with a puzzled expression. Dao, in those years, Lai Deisheng is injured. Xujiang. Yet they can live on peacefully and without trouble. This can completely prove he has the ability to dispel calamity. Wang Pangzi said to leave right away. The off-road vehicle took us south all the way. During this time I asked the chubby guy, "Where are we going over there?" "Looking for deist priest Lai, in the Miao region of Yunnan. After defeating the Southern Sea Thunder Master back then, he once saved a heavily injured person over there, the person with poison, and taught him the art of medicine." I was amazed. This deist priest Lai is also skilled in medicine. To know the scholarly person, too much is never enough. While cultivating magical techniques, I still need to study medicine. That will inevitably scatter a lot of mental energy. And deist Lai, since both subjects can still be developed simultaneously, it is evident that he has exceptional talent. There are rumors that his medical skills are no worse than those of supernatural arts. He excels at saving people in crisis. Add the tour guide skills. Some difficult and complicated diseases that some hospitals cannot solve. He can easily achieve it. I asked the chubby guy again, "Did Xiangxi tell you all of this?" The chubby man nodded. "Before I go down the mountain, I have recorded all the characters from the martial arts world, taught hand in hand by Xiangxi since childhood, and explained the knowledge of the subject. This is Wang Pengzi's advantage. Even I have been cursed by the Nenyang dragon. I hope he can analyze it too, so together with him, I can take fewer detours." I asked the fat guy, "As far as you know, Master Lai and that person from the north's strength. Who is strong and who is weak?" Wan Pangzi took a deep breath. "It's hard to say, but there is one thing that is beyond doubt. The person from the north 40 years ago. If there is no mighty sword, it's not as good as deist Lai's. That was only 40 years ago. This somewhat disappoints me. Mr. Chen told me before he passed away. 40 years ago, the celestial master once said, if given some time, he can touch the new threshold and reach a higher realm. As for deist Lai, as time goes by, he will gradually grow old. Under the ebb and flow, he will inevitably distance himself from that person in the north, continuously stretching. Actually, in the era of deist Master Lai, the person from the north, I don't dare to claim to be the best in my field. Deist priest Lai was old 40 years ago. If possible, he is undoubtedly a righteous celestial master. What else did he do? Wan Pangzi's coded message all the way to me. It has shocked me to the point of breathlessness. The unrepentant generation of celestial masters. That is definitely a person who has contributed greatly to the well-being of humanity. He once came down the mountain during the war-torn era, rescuing countless lives, countless enemies slain, retiring in peace after the world is at peace. Back then, the higher-ups had sought him out. He was appointed as the celestial master, but he refused. The words of the chubby one. Let me be deeply shocked. If not for empty words, here is the deist priest, worthy of respect. The off-road vehicle travels south from Xiangxi along the Belt and Road. When it gets dark, we stopped in a small town in the southeast. We're not far from Yunnan now. Find a hotel. Opened 2 rooms. They generously gave money. But when entering the hotel, Yue insisted on sharing a room with me. This puts me in a difficult position. After all, there are differences between men and women. But his explanation is also very simple. A person is afraid to sleep alone. I am his man. Why can't we just sleep together? Wan Pangzi looked at me with a smug expression and exclaimed, "The first time I secretly went down the mountain, I encountered a kind and beautiful older sister. But from that moment on, I can't go off key anymore." He had a look of reminiscence on his face. At the same time, pick up a pebble on the table that emits a faint green glow. There is greed in the gaze. Wan Pangzi's words. It made me laugh a lot. This guy won't go off key. He is no longer a virgin when it comes to emotions. Suddenly stood in front of me with a serious expression. He pushed Wang Pangzi out of the room. Wang Pangzi looked back at Yuer in confusion, still not speaking. Yuer pointed at the stone in his hand. Fendi, you've been cursed. The fat man was so scared that he was about to throw away the stone in his hand. Yuer hurriedly stopped. Don't throw it away. But it was too late. The stone was thrown into the hallway by the chubby guy, and the sound of stones bouncing went bang, bang, bang. Yuer rushed out. At the same time, I followed them out. Yuer is searching on the floor of the corridor, but the stone was already gone. Fendi, where did you drop it? I asked him. The chubby guy pointed to the corner of the hallway. Yuer and I charged forward at the same time. The stone is indeed gone. I was just about to continue searching. Yuer held onto me. No need to look any more. He stared coldly at the corridor. Next, none of you are allowed to leave me. Someone is watching us. Bess suddenly clutched his stomach. A wail echoed through the air. Fendi, you're really good at pretending, aren't you? I joked, but soon I realized he is not joking. He is curled up on the ground in pain. The body keeps twisting. I walked over to help him up. This guy is really heavy. He helped him onto the bed. He has already broken out in a cold sweat. The face was terrifyingly purple and blue, the extent of visible pain. How is it? I asked him. So painful. It feels like there's a stone moving in my abdomen. What is this drum? I'm not in a good mood. Who taught you how much? I thought it was a raw piece of Hessian jade with a patina. Who knows, it's just a piece of horse brain and was manipulated by someone. Wang Pangzi is in so much pain that he can't speak. The pleading gaze turned towards Yuer. This is the stone drum. Yuer chanted a spell. Before long, the fat man's pain has eased. Yuer, you are really amazing. The fat one disappeared after the pain, praising Yuer. He looks like it seems to be completely healed. This cannot help but. I began to admire Yuer, truly worthy of being the successor of the Drum King. Yuer said, the drum has not been untied yet. I was just using a poison insect. Temporarily suppress the stone within you. But the fat man looked terrified. You said, that stone is in my belly. Yuer nodded. The stone drum will make you wish for death, slowly tortured to death, at least a few months, at most 3 to 5 years. This process is very lengthy. The fat man was so scared that his face turned pale. Almost kneeling down, Sister Yuer, you must save me. I don't want to die. I haven't married a wife yet. It's too late now. Let's talk about it tomorrow. Next, Yuer would rather. Let me share a room with the fatty. It's good that our rooms are right next to each other. It's also convenient to take care of each other. But just after we turned off the lights, as you prepared to rest, a shadow at the window caught my attention. I am about to recite the spell. Wang Pangzi stopped me. He made a gesture of intimacy towards me. Just like that, we pretended to fall asleep. But in reality, we are each in our own beds, staring at that shadow. I understand what Wang Pangzi means. When the person pointed at entered the room, we suddenly struck. Unexpectedly, but it wasn't until half an hour later. The silhouette remained still. The chubby guy signaled to me quietly. Don't act impulsively. This is a battle of patience. I guess I'll have to wait until late at night. Half an hour has passed again. The shadow suddenly moved, but he didn't crawl into the room. After wriggling at the window for a while, suddenly left. I got up. The chubby guy quickly reached out and pressed down on me. He must be testing us. Let's continue pretending. I don't know anything. I have to admire the patience of the fat man at this moment. But it was just at this moment. A startled "ah" echoed from the room of Yue, and I got up at the same time. I rushed toward the moonlit room. "Yue!" Hurry and opened the door. After a knock on the door, Yue opened the door. "What happened?" I'd asked him. Yue pointed at the window and said, "Someone just peeped at me." The chubby guy and I rushed to the window at the same time. Looking out the window, there was no shadow of a person. This is the 5th floor. There are no points of support around. Bare walls. How did that person disappear? Did they jump down? If I jumped down from such a height, you might end up getting hurt. I locked eyes with the pansy. "In our room," I blurted out, and rushed out. Meanwhile, the fat man had already rushed out of the moonlit room. I followed closely behind. Arrived at the door, I just saw a figure climbing out of the window. I will rush over with the fatty to stop them. At this moment, the sound of the moon called out behind us, "Don't go in yet." Yue suddenly pulled us back. "Be careful, there's a curse." Yue walked ahead of us. We retreat in our career, and cautiously entered the room, then closed the door. I was anxiously waiting at the door with the fatty. After more than 10 minutes had passed, a hissing sound echoed through the room. Yue seems to be entangled by something. I shouted anxiously, "Yue, what happened inside?" "Don't come in." Yue sounded very anxious. Even with a sobbing tone, this makes me even more worried. I paced back and forth at the door until 4 more have passed. 5 minutes later, the noise inside has stopped. "Yue, are you okay?" No response. I exchanged a glance with the fat guy. Without hesitation, he acted immediately. With a loud clang, the door was kicked open. In the room, Yue was vigilantly staring at the window. Cold sweat has already broken out on my forehead. "Did you see the moon?" "It's fine. I feel much more relieved now." "Yue, what just happened?" As they spoke, "I don't want to enter the room." Yet again the anxious voice of Yue echoed, "You all wait outside for now." I and they didn't dare to enter. But what we don't understand is, the room is empty and has nothing in it. Why can't we go in? After more than 10 minutes had passed, a voice suddenly came from outside the window. "The girl truly is a disciple of the ancient king. But I want to become the new generation of the ancient king. You must defeat all the ancient Miao people in the drum battle." That sound gradually faded away. It seems that person has already left. The moon has also turned its head. Sweat has already soaked her clothes. In her hands, holding a smooth bamboo stick about 10 centimeters long, she handed me the bamboo slip. "Burn it tomorrow." I took the bamboo slip and looked at it. There are some strange symbols carved on it. It feels like a kind of writing. Wang Pangzi curiously took the bamboo piece and examined it. "This is engraved with the Mingwen." Yue explained, "This is the extinguishing drum. What is depicted above is the faith of the Miao people. Bird and beast totem, the words of the moon." Wang Pangzi's bamboo piece immediately fell to the ground. Startled, I took a step back. I picked up the bamboo piece from the ground. Yue actually agreed to give me this thing. The ancient poison above must have been resolved by her. I completely trust her abilities. Just because she is the heir of the ancient king. The second half of the night is very quiet. When dawn breaks, the chubby guy had everything ready early on. "Let's hurry up. Lie, brothers." She urged us on. Of course, I understand why she is so anxious. She has stone bones in her body. If we don't resolve it, it will flare up again soon. Next, Yue took us to buy bear yellow, garlic and sweet flag. Crush it and mix it together. Let Wang Pangzi eat it raw. During this time, I also burned the bamboo piece by the roadside. Looking at that pile of messed up things, the smell is pungent. This put Wang Pangzi in a difficult position. Do you want to drink it soaked in water? It's up to you. But it can't be cooked. Must eat it raw. Wang Pangzi gritted his teeth. Swallow it whole. I almost vomited several times. But to understand the poison, she endured it all. Yue urged the fatty after he swallowed the antidote. Hurry, drive to the hotel. We can't continue our journey yet. I don't understand why Yue is in such a hurry. Let me go back to the hotel. But soon Wang Pangzi increased his driving speed. It only took 5 minutes. Arrived at the hotel while ignoring traffic rules. Jumped out of the car and rushed inside. Suddenly, a series of crackling sounds echoed from the bathroom. I finally understood Yuer's intentions. The fat man pulled all day long, until the next day. Only then did she start to improve. To Fat Lord, I reported the incident. Finally pulled you out. Wang Pangzi had 2 dark circles under his eyes. He brought over a stone. Yuer and I both avoided it, but looking from a distance, can also distinguish. It's the stone that cursed the fatty before. Yuer asked to take the stone outside and burn it with fire. It is to prevent the residual goo insects on that stone will transform again into a curse to harm others. After everything was done, Yuer solemnly told us, I'm afraid that what follows, I can't go down south with you anymore. I hurriedly asked, Light, they won't let me go. Follow me. You will only become a burden to me, hindering me from fighting against them. The ones in Yuer's mouth. It refers to the Gu Miao people. I asked, Is it just because you're the disciple of the Poison King? Yuer nodded. Those who practice Gu want to become the Gu King. Only by defeating the disciples of the Gu King could they succeed. There is a chance to become the new generation of Gu King, but I won't give them this opportunity, because it concerns the dignity of my mother-in-law. I can't help but worry about the moon. She has just stepped into the world of learning, facing those old guides. Inevitably, one will suffer losses. Wang Pangzi patted me on the shoulder and said, Don't worry. We must believe in the power of the moon. She is the disciple of the Guwang. The greatest help we can provide to the moon is, don't let her get distracted. Let her focus completely on battling those old guys. Yuer, I looked at the moon in front of me. I really don't know what to say. Since we have been together during this time, she is already my best friend. Don't worry. I won't embarrass my mother-in-law. While the moon was speaking, a figure in black in the distance, hurrying towards us. She walked up to us. I respectfully spoke to the moon. Pearl, speak. What do you need me to do? It was a thin middle-aged woman with dark skin, ugly appearance. The whole person seemed a bit listless. It was like being released from a serious illness. I am amazed that. Why did she come to find you here? Do they know each other? The moon was coldly silent. I want to inquire about someone. Of course, you should know some things about this person. Otherwise, you won't live long. The words of the moon. The middle-aged woman turned pale with fear. You go ahead. I will tell you everything I know. I just hope the girl won't hold it against me. Last night was my fault. I locked eyes with the fat guy, so she is the one. Last night I hid outside the window. The person who competed with Yuer in drumming. But what shocked us was, it's not about the identity of the person in front of me, but it is the ability of Yuer. Last night, this person has never shown up at all. But the moon not only solved her extinction drum, it also allowed the other party to fall for the trap set by oneself. It seems that the moon's drumming technique, it's truly not easy. At the same time, I also look forward to her upcoming battle drum. Gained a lot of confidence. Yuer looked at Wang Pangzi. Can't tell him the person we are looking for. Wang Pangzi politely addressed the middle-aged woman. Senior, we are here to find Deist Lai. Do you know where he is? You all, who are you? As soon as we mentioned we were looking for Deist Lai, the middle-aged woman's eyes revealed fear. Unconsciously stepping back, Yuer said coldly, "They are disciples of the Ghost Path." Ghost Path sect member? The middle-aged woman listened to Yuer's response. Clearly, they are not as fearful of us as before. Took a deep breath and said, "That was 20 years ago. Now no one knows. Where is Deist Master Lai? If it's true, only then. His disciple from back then." Wang Pangzi asked anxiously, "So where is his disciple?" The middle-aged woman fell silent. "This is the border of Yunnan. Back then, Deist Lai traveled south from Miao. It will definitely pass through this area. There should be traces left behind. Since the middle-aged woman is from the older generation of the Gumia people, then he should perhaps know some things." A moment of silence. The middle-aged woman took a deep breath. "You won't be able to find him, because he has already gone into hiding." The fat man stared at him and asked, "Can you find it?" "Cannot either." Yuer waved her hand impatiently. "Then you can go back. Brodal, I am poisoned by a curse. The moment you chose to engage in a cursed battle with me, you should understand. You might lose. It could even lead to death. The meaning of the moon is very clear. Will not give the other party the antidote." "All right, then. I told you all," the middle-aged woman said again. "She has gone into hiding. Now at the flat edge over there. Now calling Lai Tingqing. You are inquiring over there. I should be able to find out. Don't ask me how I know. This is not important. Brodal, is what I'm saying enough?" Yuer waved her hand. "You go ahead, as long as nothing unexpected happens. 1 month later, the poison will naturally be resolved. Of course, during this time, you better not have any bad intentions." Middle-aged woman. The middle-aged woman left. "It's time for us to say goodbye to the moon. Let's go. Perhaps when we meet again. It is the new generation. The birth of the Gu King." The chubby guy pulled me into the car. I turned back to look at the moon, a bit reluctant. "Go quickly. At that time, I will come to find you." Got into Wang Pangzi's off-road vehicle. Journeying south, I appeared very anxious. Fortunately, along the way ahead, there were no unexpected encounters. It's just that this place is flat. It's too far from the Miao region. We have always. It was 11 o'clock at night. Finally arrived at the destination. Tonight will definitely be. I can't go look for Lai Tingcheng anymore. Wang Pangzi booked a room. Just as I had just sat down, a sharp pain surged in my chest. Sudden attack. I covered my chest. Curled up in bed. Cold sweat quickly soaked the clothes. I realized that my consciousness was also fading into confusion. It was the scarecrow that was about to act up. When I woke up, it is already noon. "Can you still walk?" Wang Pangzi asked me. I tried to get out of bed. "The action is completely fine. But that pain, yet it made my soul grow weak. Severe lack of mental strength. cannot control the farewell words. Seeing that my actions are unhindered, the fat man said again, "Actually, he can use a scarecrow too. I'll torment you to death." But he didn't do that. It just made you faint from the pain. I smiled wryly. "Are you saying he showed mercy?" "Show mercy," the fat man sneered. "Their hatred for us is far greater than hatred towards the Xuanmen. How could I possibly show mercy?" He did this. Clearly there is a purpose. Then what could his purpose be? Of course, Wan Pangzi would never know. I asked Wan Pangzi, "Thaddy, there has always been one thing I don't understand." "Speak." "The person from the north. I can't believe they haven't gone south all this time. So how did he become the leader of Nanang?" "It is a corner piece." Wan Pangzi said, "I'm not sure about this either, but it doesn't rule out what you said, that Lai Gang is related. But if it really is that person from the north, Nanang wants to lure the corpse up, then his would be great. Pingbian is a small county town, but I want to find Lai Tinching among them. Yet it's not an easy task." I asked some locals with Wan Pangzi. Most of the day has passed. I found someone named Lai Tincheng, but the other party is a young person in their 20s. The age clearly doesn't match. After many twists and turns, we found a local shaman. I asked her if she knew a shaman named Lai Tincheng, but the shaman drove us out the door. What should we do next? Are we just going to keep asking around like this? When will it come to an end? Received a cold shoulder. This makes us feel somewhat frustrated. Think of another way. Twilight. We walked aimlessly like this until a fortune teller who was about to close up caught my attention. "And people, should we do a divination?" When I looked at him, the fortune teller called out to me. I asked with great interest, "What do you count for?" "The Book of Changes has some basic understanding." "And people, do you want to record or to divine?" Wan Pangzi's small eyes scrutinized the fortune teller. "Is there a difference?" "Of course there is." The fortune teller stroked his beard. "The book has 50 characters. Fortune telling 100. I couldn't help but frown. Is everything this expensive?" Fatty and I always believed he was a con artist. But unexpectedly, this guy asked for a lot. But his price has to be higher. The more we do it, the more interested we become. All right, I will test a character. If it's not allowed, I won't give you money. Of course. But I also have a request. If I measured it accurately, if one of you remaining, if we need to continue testing, then it will cost double. No haggling. No problem. Wan Pangzi is at the fortune teller's table. Wrote a character for king. The fortune teller calculated with his fingers, doing it with style. Looked at the character Wan minus 1 stroke equals 3. 3 horizontal lines represent money. Cayenne is the creative hexagram. This was meant to be a great fortune. Ranjayat is a bit like jade. Yugyuang is transparent. Exquisitely crafted handicrafts, but you are destined to be without jade. Yet they covet wealth. Therefore it will be due to jade, and bring disaster upon oneself. The fortune teller said up to this point. He looked at me again and said, "You Waikun, the Yang hexagram is ever changing. Yinya, it explains that although you have misfortune, but the person beside you has jade. This jade is your lucky star." The disaster was resolved because of the jade, the fortune teller's words. Both I and Fatty were taken aback. If he really relies on just the word king, the Fatty was found because of a piece of jade, and brought disaster upon oneself because of a person with jade, and to resolve disasters, Isn't he referring to Wan Pangzi, cursed by a piece of jade? Then it was the jade that resolved the curse, right? Watching me and Fetty fall into deep thought, the fortune teller asked, "None, people. Can I calculate it accurately?" They took out 50 yuan. To the fortune teller, "Speak to me. Lai Leodi. You should give it a try too." The fortune teller took the 50 yuan. Her eyes crinkled into a narrow slit with laughter. "This brother Lai. Please present the characters. Since you already know my surname, then I don't need to write this character anymore. I'm not in the mood to chat aimlessly with this fortune teller. Fancy says it. The book is. What has happened? It is indeed very accurate. This also shows. He does have some skills. But the fate of those in the school of learning, it was already full of uncertainties. Unforeseeable. This fortune teller, no matter how capable you are, can it really predict the future of those within the academic circle? For me, spend this 100 yuan. Purely a matter of intelligence and charm." Wan Pangzi stopped me and said, "Since that's the case, why don't you give divination a try, Lai Leodi?" The fortune teller saw Wan Pangzi pull me back. Hastily asked what? Wan Pangzi asked urgently about the situation. As soon as the words fell, the fortune teller picked up 6 copper coins and dropped them down, as if afraid that we would back out. 6 copper coins were tossed. Falling to the ground becomes a hanging, the fortune teller's expression. But at the moment of looking at the portrait, the expression suddenly froze, then gradually became a golden quote. Wan Pangzi said impatiently, "Don't pretend. Unwind it." But the fortune teller looked serious and said, "This attachment needs no further explanation. You all should leave." The fortune teller pushed us away. "Go ahead. Just act like I never counted. This hands. I won't take your money either." Wan Pangzi would not agree. But that fortune teller, he directly took the 50 yuan he had given earlier. It was also returned to us. Wan Pangzi had nothing to say. The most frightening thing is when a fortune teller doesn't charge a fee. Usually, one doesn't understand the burden of death. He dares to ask about the fortunes and misfortunes of the people from the Xuanmen. It is merely peering into the secrets of the heavens. But the hang is dead. A person is alive. My life is only until 18. This is my destiny. It is also the ending he calculated. But it was my grandfather who changed my fate. Yor is the one who unravels the deadlock and prolongs my life. This is related to the agreement between the ancient king and my grandfather. What right does he have to pry into such secret texts? I turned and was about to leave, but just as I turned around, then I accidentally knocked over a piece with my sleeve. The hanging shape has slightly changed. But what does it mean? People like us. How could it just be a mere fortune teller? It can predict fortune and misfortune. Wait a moment. Then the fortune teller suddenly called us back. I turned back with Wan Pangzi. He excitedly pointed at the portrait. If the secrets of heaven do not change, this skill is quite impressive. You won't live past 18. The portrait has been altered. The trajectory of your destiny. It can also be due to certain people and events. And things began to change. Perhaps there is a glimmer of hope. I said, "The old gentleman requests to hang up." The fortune teller in front of me. "It seems you have quite the skill. The things he can measure. It has exceeded the ordinary. He is not an ordinary fortune teller." 500. The fortune teller showed a palm. "I'm so angry I could hit someone. This person is also greedy for money. 500 is just 500. But if it's not accurate, I dismantled your shop. This is no problem." The fortune teller pointed at the portrait. The copper coin that was brushed by my sleeve said, "The eagle hangs in a high position. In the north, the form hangs as Kan, originally a dead end. In the southwest, there is a son of the main Xiang, echoing with the eagle from afar." That should be a glimmer of hope. I asked him what it specifically meant. Want to survive. We must head north all the way. Of course. This glimmer of hope is actually quite faint. It is a fight against fate. But it is not without. Traveling north. The fatty and I mutually forgot each other. No need to say much. The fortune teller in front of me. He is a member of the Xuanmen sect. I asked him directly, "What if I'm not a match for that person from the north?" "This is not important. Your opponent depends on yourself." "What does it mean?" "Head north. You will understand my words in the future." He finished speaking and sighed. "Some people you don't need to seek out, because the person who doesn't want to see you, you will never find it. Even if you happen to find it, it has no meaning at all. But I am currently facing a disaster. I mean Cao Renxeng. I, Xiangxi, do not understand. Already trapped in a dead end. What is the meaning of going north?" He pointed at the elephant hanging there. "Heading north. If you encounter a funeral, just stop. Conversely, if not encountered, then do not stop." "Thank you." I thanked him. At the same time, Dhalso pulled out 500 yuan. Gave him a pained look. "Excuse me, sir. What is your honorable name?" When leaving, I couldn't help but ask again. "You pay to ask, Jaiziu. I plan to conceal the secrets of heaven. You and I each take what we need. Why bother asking for names? If you want to meet the person you're looking for, hurry up and go." The fortune teller, it's already started. Preparing to pack up and leave. It has already turned dark. Wang Pangzi drove the off-road vehicle northward, walking very slowly during this time. After walking for 10 kilometers, we heard the sound of mourning. A family in a distant village. A funeral is being held. Then I got out of the car right away, heading towards that family, until we arrived at the entrance of the mourning hall. Both Wang Pangzi and I changed our expressions. On the altar in front of the spirit hall, the spirit tablet of elder Lai Tingcheng is being inscribed. Lai Tingcheng has died. The fat man sat down to smoke. I stood by silently. I never expected we would rush such a long distance. Lai Tingcheng is actually dead. It's hard to believe. Just a coincidence. The fat man finished smoking a cigarette. He lit another one and continued to smoke. After smoking 3 cigarettes in a row, he then got up. "Madame, I can't just leave empty-handed. Let's ask his descendants. If it really doesn't work, let's call the soul." Wang Pangzi's words reminded me, if you really want to hear from Lai Tingcheng, know the whereabouts of Deist Lai, only by calling back his soul. I am a yin walker. This is not impossible. We entered the morning hall. The filial son smiled when he saw us. Then he gave us cigarettes. "Two gentlemen. You came down from Xiangxi, right?" The words of that filial son. Wan Pangzi and I were taken aback. He spotted it at a glance. "We are practitioners of the Xuanmen. And tell us where we come from." This filial son clearly knows something. The chubby man nodded at him. "We traveled south from Xiangxi. This trip is to find your father. Unfortunately, you arrived late." The filial son had a face full of sadness. "Dad has told me. He died the night after. 2 young people will come to find him. He specifically reminded me, 'Let me keep you all here and treat you well.'" The filial son served us tea, prepared more cigarettes, then go to the kitchen to explain. I made some dishes. After we had dinner, It is already 10 o'clock in the evening. Everyone who came to help has already left. Only that filial son is left in this house. This filial son has not yet started a family. She is only around 23 or 24 years old. Lai Tingcheng is probably not very old either. Wan Pengzi stared at the morning hall. "Have you noticed a problem?" I asked. "Are you saying they didn't invite Mr. Bai?" The chubby man nodded. I said, "Maybe they didn't have time." Wan Pengzi shook his head. "The filial son said Lai Tingcheng died in the morning. It's completely enough time to invite the gentleman. But they just didn't invite him. This can only indicate they did not intend to invite the gentleman. That's exactly the situation." While they were speaking, the filial son walked over. He said to me and the fatty, "Two young gentlemen. My father told me before he passed away. He hopes to have the two accompany him up the mountain. I wonder if you would be willing to spend this time to help." I looked at Wang Pangzi. Compared to my shock, he appeared very calm. "Daddy, what do you think?" I asked Wang Pangzi. He nodded and said, "Since it was your father who asked you to stay with us, then we have no reason to leave without a trace. You can rest assured. We are here. Your father's spirit will not encounter any accidents." Wan Pangzi's words make that filial son extremely happy, became even more enthusiastic towards us. But Wan Pangzi's words, that's a bit of an exaggeration. No matter which Southeast Asian country wants to dispose of the body, Lai Gang and Xiangxi took action. It was difficult for us to keep watch over Lai Tingcheng's body. His master, Zhao Laosi, is a prime example. At the same time, we are concerned about Lai Tingcheng. I became even more curious. Since he could predict that we would come, then he not only learned medicine. I stood guard at the morning hall with Wang Pangzi. Since it was during Lai Tingcheng's lifetime, let his son keep ours. There must be a reason for that. We cannot be careless. During this time, we asked the filial son about Lai Tingcheng. The filial son kept shaking his head. He didn't know that his father was skilled in medicine. The filial son had a sincere expression. "Can't tell they're lying." This left us puzzled. Late at night, the wind has risen, accompanied by the rumbling thunder. It's raining outside. The filial son hurriedly opened the door to the spirit hall. "Prevent the everlasting lamp from being extinguished." I woke up the dozing chubby guy. The chubby man checked the time. "It's just a little past 12. It's not yet the hour of the rat." Couldn't help but complain. "Why did you wake me up so early?" I fold paper outside the door. "It's raining." The chubby guy pulled open the curtains. Looking out the window, there is a sinister aura. "Be careful tonight." The fat man's words suddenly excited the filial son. It must be my father's spirit returning. I need to open the door for him. The filial son opened the door. I looked outside with the... In the heavy rain there was indeed a silhouette. The filial son opened the door and shouted at the figure, "Dead, wishing you a safe journey." Meanwhile, a gust of wind swept into the morning hall. The eternal lamp in front of the coffin swayed back and forth in the wind. I hurriedly went to close the door with the fat guy. But just as the door was closing, the everlasting lamp was extinguished. The eternal lamp lights the path for the departed to the underworld. The everlasting lamp has extinguished. The souls of the departed will lose their way, lost in the darkness. But this is not important. I am a soul guide. As long as we find Lai Tingcheng's soul, I can lead him into the shadows. Wan Pangzi lit the everlasting lamp. Ask that filial son, "Are you sure that person outside is your father?" "That's right. That is my father's soul." Wan Pangzi spoke seriously to the filial son. Your father's everlasting lamp has gone out. All begins because of you. This isn't my fault. Next, some incredible things may happen. I hope you can stay calm. You have to believe me." The filial son quickly nodded and thanked Wang Pangzi. Next, Wang Pangzi spoke to me again. "I stay here. You go out and take a look." I smiled bitterly. My current situation. I'm afraid we can't walk in the shadows anymore. All right. I'll go ask him. Wait for me." The fat guy finished speaking and went out the door. Half an hour later, the fatty is back. He looked utterly disappointed. I hurriedly asked him, "Did he say anything to you?" The chubby man shook his head. "I couldn't find him. It's also possible that he doesn't want to see me. Can you recover tomorrow?" I checked the physical condition. Although last night I was nearly tormented into a stupor by that sorcerer using a voodoo doll. But it's nothing serious. My mental strength is gradually recovering. I said to the chubby guy, "It should be restored by tomorrow evening. It seems that the witch doctor did not intend to harm you. Next, we must be careful. He is likely not far from us. Is because he wanted to test your pain threshold. You should hurry and find De Xiangxi." The fat man said this. I took a glance at the coffin. I could tell he clearly had something to say, but he didn't say anything. Perhaps it is because the filial son is here. It's not convenient to talk. Next, the chubby guy let me rest to regain my energy. The rest is up to him. This makes me extremely happy. When I woke up, it is already noon. During that time, no one disturbed me. It should have been explained by the chubby guy. Arrived at the morning hall. The fat man was wearing a daïst robe, conducting funeral rites for the deceased, learning in a well-structured manner. This guy used to be in the coffin business. Very skilled in this area. The fatty came out after finishing the reading and asked me, "How do you feel after sleeping for so long?" I nodded. "Almost there. I can feel that there's something wrong with the death in this station. It seems like he died on purpose." I was shocked. "You say he committed suicide?" The chubby man nodded. "Let's not talk about the time when the dock was closed. Life rarely exceeds 60. Belongs to the short-lived. He knew we were coming to find him before he died. At this moment. Isn't it just too accurate?" I stand up. I was shocked. "Are you saying he doesn't want to see us? That's why they would commit suicide. So what are you planning to do next?" "Wait a moment. I'll find a chance to open the coffin. Check the body for any clues." "All right, then." After we discussed it, Wang Pangzi continued to return to the morning hall to read the eulogy. During this time, a woman in her 30s was crying heartbrokenly. That is the filial daughter who hurried back from afar. There is a son and a daughter in this cabin. Relatives pay their respects to Yiren. Saying goodbye to my father for the last time. Preparing to open the coffin. As Wang Pangzi's voice came through, the people in the morning hall began to gossip among themselves. What they mean is, did Wang Pangzi make a mistake? Opening the coffin to admire the serene appearance is usually the night before the coffin was carried up the mountain. The time to stop at the cabin and head up the mountain is tomorrow morning. According to reason, I should only be able to see Yiren tonight. Everyone is questioning this Wang Pangzi now. Isn't he just a half-baked person? It's just hard to say directly. The filial son walked over, commanding everyone to say, "What did the young master say? You just do it. What are you all dawdling for?" He showed great trust in Wang Pangzi. The filial son speaks up. Everyone finally started to take action. A few people pushed the coffin aside. As the coffin cracked open a small gap, suddenly a foul odor wafted in. Both the fatty and I frowned. Everyone in the morning hall covered their noses one after another. The stench was unbearable. Wang Pengzi stopped everyone from continuing to open the coffin, and with a glance she signaled me to come closer. I endure the foul stench and approach. When I saw the corpse in that coffin, I almost threw up. Inside the coffin, it is a corpse covered in black worms. The body is highly decomposed, as if dead for over 10 days. I looked at it in shock. The cabin here has just died for a day. How could the body decay so quickly? Wang Pengzi asked me to exert effort together with him. After we closed the coffin, he whispered to me, "This should be goo poison." Wang Pengzi's explanation shocked me. The body has started to decay. Rotting, it means that future generations will prosper. Lai Leidaran does not wish for everyone to view his remains. He just wanted to leave quietly. Let's leave it at that. Wang Pengzi brushed everyone off, brought me outside. I asked him, when did he plant the poison? Wang Pengzi explained. The cursed insect has grown into an adult, and began to the corpse. It's obvious it wasn't planted recently. Perhaps it's the curse from 20 years ago. But I was shocked. Did Deist Lai not remove the curse for him back then? It's possible. Wang Pengzi analyzed. Lai Deishang feels sorrow for the world, descending the mountain in chaotic times, fighting against the Waku. In times of peace I retreat to seclusion, as the sinister cult in Nenyang begins to stir. To protect the Xuan men with one's own strength, such a person deserves respect. What I want to say is that he is skilled beyond measure. He naturally had no extra time to study medicine. So I think, the legend of Dr. Lai's medical skills, there should be an element of exaggeration. He probably just removed the poison from Lai Tingshang's body back then, just a way to suppress it. Wang Pengzi's analysis does make some sense. Next, Wang Pengzi took a nap. Night quickly arrived. He began to perform rituals pretentiously again. But is a transcendent servant? Here comes another wave of Guo Ying, passing messages between relatives and servants. They did it with considerable skill. At the same time, after this move he made, they also successfully received several red envelopes. I have to admire his methods. This guy, if you want to deceive, surely a skilled person, until after 10 o'clock at night. Everyone gradually left. Tonight's vigil is being held by Bai Tian, the filial daughter who rushed back from afar. The fat man spoke to the filial daughter. This elder sister, you're home 20 years ago. Did something big happen? Filial daughter in her 30s. Lai Tingchang was cursed 20 years ago. Based on the timeline deduction, when Lai Tingchang was cursed, he is already over 10 years old. He should probably know something. The finished speaking. The filial daughter's expression changed noticeably. He pointed at the chubby man. Yo, who are you? Elder sister, don't be afraid. We are not bad people. This time down. It is to help your father Lai Tingcheng. I'll be straightforward with you. The death of your father. I'm afraid it has something to do with what happened 20 years ago. I hope you think it over carefully. 20 years ago? Has something happened in your family? 20 years ago? The filial daughter stared outside the door in fear, fell into memories. She said, Yang has returned home. Dad took us and our little brother back to find her. But mother refuses to see us. She also poisoned her father. Father blocked them. Let me carry my younger brother and run back. Never look back. Never look back. I hurriedly asked, Where is your mother? I don't know. The fat man scolded. Hurry up. In the north. It's far from here. We left home. We have walked a long, long way, finally arrived here. She was already crying in fear. I comforted him. Don't be afraid. We are here to help you. The filial daughter gradually recovered. I whispered, "Did you hear anything?" One Pangzi said, "Her mother should be a Miao person. Her father went to find her mother, scared to tears by her mother." Fatty's words reminded me of the past. The middle-aged woman who fought with Ewer in the valley. She won't let us ask her, "Why do you know Lai Tinchang is over here in Painbian?" They definitely don't want to talk about what happened back then. And Lai Tinchang initially. It is also very likely that it was after that in Nakagachi. Heading south all the way. I even somewhat believe that she is also related to Lai Tinchang Zhanggu. On the way south, she met Master Lai. It was Deizhang Lai who saved her and taught her some skills to suppress the gu poison. The funeral hall is very quiet. It is once again the hour of Zai. The wind picked up outside the house again. This time there was no rain. I perked up with them, because we sensed the ominous energy outside the house. Lai Tingchang's soul has returned, wandering outside their own home after death. He definitely has some unfulfilled wishes. The chubby guy gestured for me to go outside. I walked out of the morning hall. In the distance, a small, hunched figure, pacing back and forth. I walked towards him. He is a middle-aged man in his 50s. Lai Tingchang's back is quite broad. I did not disturb him. Instead, she observed him from a distance. After wandering for a long time, walked towards their own house. But he did not enter the morning hall, but turned their gaze towards their own backyard. Just like that, half an hour has passed. He suddenly seemed startled, running towards the distance. Could it be that he has discovered me? I was just about to catch up. A sinister aura from afar. Let me hide my form once again. That is the aura of the eagle killer. I didn't expect Xiangxi to head south as well. The shadow of Xiangxi appeared behind Lai Tingcheng. He is just like me. They were secretly following Lai Tingcheng from behind. Lai Tingcheng ran to hide under an old locust tree. Clearly, he has already noticed that something is following him from behind. Eagle Sha saw Lai Tingcheng hiding behind the old locust tree, immediately rushed over. He is afraid that Lai Tingcheng will escape. Then, Lai Tingcheng was forced out from behind the old locust tree by the eagle killer. Save me. Help me quickly. Lai Tingcheng looked in the direction I was hiding. Start calling for help. Heaven and earth, the profound ancestor. Root of all Kai. 4-spirit sky lantern. Liuding. Help me extinguish the essence. Demon King March. Hurry like a law command. As I walked towards Xiangxi, also recited the incantation. Words transformed and shot out. Crimson light. The eagle stopped its advance towards Lai Tingcheng. Aya. The eagle spirit dares not approach me. They can only snarl and shout at me from a distance. I did not hesitate. Rushed over. As long as there's a chance to take him down, I will never let this go. The eagle demon moves at incredible speed. He quickly climbed up the old locust tree, glaring at me with a look of resentment. He is quick and agile, climbing up the old locust tree. Like a monkey, I feel helpless towards him. But soon, his gaze turned towards behind me. I turned back to look. Eagle killer is looking at Lai Tingcheng. At this moment, Lai Tingcheng has disappeared into the darkness. He ran away. I hurriedly turned around to chase after Lai Tingcheng. Eagle Sha has already moved south. That means Lai Gang should have arrived as well, even that sorcerer. I'm afraid it has already followed us here. Lai Tingcheng is the only one who knows the whereabouts of Deist Lai. His soul is very important to me, ran out in one breath. 4 kilometers later, I finally saw Lai Tingcheng. At this moment, Lai Tingcheng, already blocked by a shadowy figure. I've seen the person who stopped Lai Tingcheng. It's that sorcerer. Senior, come here quickly. I anxiously shouted at Lai Tingcheng regarding the methods of this sorcerer. I remember it vividly. Lai Tingcheng turned to look at me. There was fear in his eyes. But similarly, he is more afraid of that sorcerer. The sorcerer has gradually approached Lai Tingcheng. Lai Tingcheng also began to retreat. I quickened my pace, charged towards Lai Tingcheng, and was the first to grab him. Lai Tingcheng was trembling in fear, but did not resist. When the disciples of the ghost path walk through the shadows, it's just a living person who acts as a messenger. Its position is equivalent to that of a ghost messenger in hell. It's just that one is a ghost. It's just a person. So, the soul instinctively fears the ghost messenger. It's also normal. Friend, please give me Lai Tingcheng. The sorcerer's tone was still quite polite, but it is non-negotiable. This person is very important to me. I can't give it to you. I pulled Lai Tingcheng, just about to turn and leave, but just as I turned around, then the sorcerer suddenly pulled out a straw doll from his body. As he squeezed the straw man tightly in his hand, my waist, it felt as if a tremendous force was squeezing tightly. A sudden pain struck, sweeping through the body. The scarecrow fell heavily. I have already seen it. The sorcerer in front of me wants to keep me. I can't get away at all. I had to stop in my tracks. Your purpose in seeking Lai Tingcheng is merely to, in order to find Deist Lai. Just break the scarecrow wall I've set up for you. Now I can give you the solution. You gave him life. Just give it to me. The sorcerer finished speaking. Then he threw the straw man in front of me. I reached out to grab the straw man, but just as I reached out to grab the scarecrow, just happened to be stepped on by that sorcerer. I want to resolve the curse. I need to get Lai Tingcheng's soul. He exerted force with his feet. The scarecrow was crushed beneath the weight. A wave of immense pressure surged through my chest. It makes me suffer greatly. The sorcerer took control of me, removed the prayer beads from the neck. I can feel the malice radiating from that prayer bead, belonging to sinister entities. He placed the rosary around Lai Tingcheng's neck. As the prayer beads came around, Lai Tingcheng has curled up on the ground in fear, shivering in fear. The sorcerer before me, by one's own strength, can control me and Lai Tingcheng. Truly not a match for Lai Gang's kind. As the rosary wrapped around Lai Tingcheng's neck, I glanced away. It seems that within each white bead there is a vengeful spirit filled with resentment. That is a rosary made of human bones. Every bead of prayer. They are all the bones of a wronged person who died. This string of human bone prayer beads. Even if a ghost dismantles the sword, just afraid it will also be terrifying. Such evil sorcery. No wonder he was not tolerated by the Grand Master of the ancestors back then. At this moment I want to stop, but there is desire without strength. But just at that moment, it was about to fall on Lai Tingcheng's neck. The sorcerer's hand suddenly stopped. At the same time, he stepped on my hand. It has also been returned. He carried the human bone prayer beads. Withdraw your tongue. As if facing a great enemy, I looked back. In the distance is a person wearing a straw hat, a slender figure dressed in black. It is Bone King. The sorcerer quickly retreated into the darkness. I pulled Lai Tingcheng's spirit up. Mother-in-law, thank you for your multiple life-saving acts. I thanked him, but Bone King did not respond. I walked towards him. As I got closer to him, suddenly a gust of wind blew through the rising dust. I blocked my eyes, but it was after that gust of wind. The figure of Bone King suddenly vanished. After the Bone King's disappearance, a yellowed piece of paper fell, palm-sized. Unruly, I walked over and picked it up. The mountain and river patterns depicted above, like a map. To be precise, this should be a fragmented map. I put it away. This is the fall of Bone King. Hope to see you next time. I must return it to him personally. Behind you, Lai Tingchang's spirit was restless once again. His soul is fading. It seems that person just now had a bone rosary. The harm to him is significant. Next, I have to take him to the underworld. Lai Tingchang, Shehan, headed towards the village. I asked him along the way, "Senior, do you remember 20 years ago?" He did not answer. I asked him again, "Do you know Lai Deizhang?" Still no answer. This left me feeling disappointed. It seems he won't speak any more. His soul appeared to be muddled and confused. It is like a reflection on life before death. I can't remember anything. Backyard. But just as I was feeling disappointed, he suddenly made a faint sound. That voice is something only I can hear. He doesn't know nothing. Lai Tingcheng was clearly pretending to be oblivious. I looked back. A fleeting shadow can be faintly seen in the darkness. It seems that someone is still following me. This person is clearly here for Lai Tingchang's spirit. I must make him walk in the shadows. We can't let Lai Tingchang fall into their hands. Since you refuse to speak, I won't force it either. Senior, I will take you down now. Soon we arrived at the Lan temple outside the village. A thick black smoke rose in front of the Lan temple. Then came the sound of chains being dragged. The ghostly messenger emerged, dragging the soul-catching chain. Su Yinren. Wang Han was born in the year of the pig, in the month of Ginseng, on the day of the metal rat. The death of the sage Lai Tingcheng. I replied, Wang Han is indeed Lai Tingcheng. The ghostly envoy walked over holding the soul-binding chain, until he placed the iron chain around the ghostly enforcer's neck. The figures in the darkness behind finally began to stir. The ghostly envoy pulled the soul-binding chain, dragging Lai Tingchang's soul forward. I also noticed the restless figures in the distance. He glanced away, questioning the figure hidden in the distance. Said, "But to snatch a soul from the ghostly messenger." I was surprised that words of the ghost messenger, yet it did not intimidate the shadowy figure hidden in the dark, clearly to deliberately hide their identity. What can the hellish ghost messengers do? This soul, you better stay. Otherwise, the consequences will be severe. You were sent by him. At this moment, the ghostly envoy suddenly showed a face full of fear, the presence behind the man in the black robe. The ghostly envoy has already been subdued. The little ghost always bullies the weak and fears the strong. This is not surprising. Leave Lai Tingchang's spirit behind. You should leave quickly. The figure in the black robe spoke again in a chilling voice. The ghostly envoy hesitated. Seeing this situation, I hurried over. Lord Ghost Messenger, you should hurry down. Everything has nothing to do with you. Leave this to me. I recited the incantation. Heaven and earth, mystical ancestor, root of all Kai, 4 spirit lanterns, Liu Jia Liu Ding. As the porcelain sword appeared in my hand, the man in the black robe also stopped in his tracks. The ghostly messenger saw this, quickly grabbed Lai Tingchang's spirit, entering the earth temple, but I'm still worried, stood in front of the earth god temple. Half an hour later, only then did the man in black withdraw. watching his departing figure. Yet it made me feel a wave of familiarity. At this moment I don't have extra time. Guess the identity of the man in the black robe. I have to rush to Lai Tingchang's backyard to take a look. But one thing is beyond doubt. The man in the black robe is also a subordinate of that person from the north. It seems that person from the north. More terrifying than I imagined. Even the ghost messengers trembled at his name. They all have a certain deterrent effect. I ran all the way to Lai Tingchan's house. Wan Pangzi heard the sound, leaving the morning hall. Quickly asked, "What's going on?" Ran into some trouble. I have sent Lai Tingchan's soul to the underworld. I finished speaking and dashed towards his backyard. When Lai Tingchang's spirit appeared before, also staring at his backyard, there must be something hidden inside. But just as I rushed into his backyard, soon I was dumbfounded. A scene of chaos. Farm tools and furniture placed in the backyard, tossed around firmly on the ground. It's obvious. Someone has taken the lead. The residual ominous energy still lingers in the backyard. Clearly, the person who came to the backyard searching just left as well. What happened? How could someone have been here? I don't know. Wan Pangzi saw the mess on the ground, and it was also a moment of astonishment. It must be Lai Gang who came by. I expressed my guess. And what will happen? Gave Wan Pangzi a rough overview. Of course. I also concealed the appearance of the ancient king. That I showed him the scarecrow. On the scarecrow's body, writing my birth chart. As for why I became a general, actually it's very easy. Lai Gang and I are from the same village. For over a decade, it's not difficult to collect some of my hair, but the body disposal wants to put me down. You must have seen me before. So, not long after we last met, I just placed a bet. This also makes sense. The chubby guy sized him up. Then the scarecrow fell over after a while. The general on the scarecrow. It's already solved. If you want to dispose of a body, you will end up leaving a scarecrow. Then, naturally, it will also resolve the desire to plant trees. He burned the scarecrow after that. Voiced the doubts. You said you wanted to dispose of the body. It was scared away by a dark shadow. After that shadow appeared, if you want to throw away the body, just retreat. The chubby guy stared at me. Not right. You must be hiding something else. I can't believe this fat guy. It turns out to be so difficult to fool, but I still chose silence, unwilling to say more. Wan Pangzi saw that I was unwilling to say more, did not mind either. Then he said, "That wants to escape from the ghostly reaper's hands. The soul-stealing black-robed man. I suspect it was Wai Kun." Wai Kun, Wan Pangzi's words. Let me first question, then frowned. Because of the figure of that man in the black robe, it really looks like Wai Kun. Why did he do this? Isn't he about to die soon? I don't understand Wai Kun's actions. Wan Pangzi sneered. Then you have to ask him. This old thing can be hidden deep enough. He knows. If you don't show up, I won't take you along. Go meet the master. It won't be about the corpse throwing and Lai Gang. There is also the eagle Sha leading the way. From the very beginning, they are just laying out their plans. They first stole the master's soul and body. I will lower it again for you. Then we took advantage of our southward journey, looking for Deist Lai to break the spell. Likewise, they also know Master Lai will definitely meet you. The person from the north will not let Deist Lai off. This person who once threatened him, either be used by him, either death or nothing. Wai Kun disguised himself as the black-robed man. to seize Lai Tingchan's life essence. Actually, it's just to hold you back. Let Lai Gang be in the backyard, looking for the belongings left by Lai Tingcheng. From beginning to end, you and I are both pawns. This indicates the person from the north, still very wary of deist Lai, is the one who can break this stalemate. Perhaps it's the one you mentioned. Twice retreated toward the black-clad figure disposing of the body. Wan Pangzi's reasoning, indeed very impressive, but the appearance of the ancient king. I will never say that. Wan Pangzi suddenly stared at me again. The shadow, you see. Could it be Dai Zhang Lai? I had no choice but to say. The identity of this person. I can't say anything for now. But he is definitely not deist Lai. All right then. Wan Pangzi did not insist, since the backyard has already been claimed by someone else. We no longer need to continue searching. We are getting ready for dawn. Bury Lai Tingcheng, and then left. By the way, you speak. Will they tamper with Lai Tingcheng's body? I suddenly thought of a desire. The person from the north took away Grandpa's body. They also took away Xiao Laoxi's body. As for Luo Quezi and Mr. Chen, to prevent the body from being controlled by that person from the north, everyone chose cremation. Since that's the case, that person from the north, will they send someone to take away Lai Tingchang's body? Wan Pangzi sneered. This time, Wai Kun. Actually, I came here for Lai Tingchang's body. But this time, they miscalculated. He brought me to the coffin, pushed open the coffin. Inside is Lai Tingcheng. It has already turned into a bloody skeleton. This, looking at the skeleton, I was indeed taken aback. I never expected that in just 2 short days, Lai Tingchen's flesh was eaten alive by the parasitic insects after the worm transformed into an adult. It is truly terrifying. I couldn't help but touch my chest. If the moon doesn't lift the curse for me, many years later, I am afraid I might end up like Lai Tingcheng in front of me. But the fat man suddenly said, actually, Lai Tingcheng died from the goo worm. It was Master Lai's deliberate arrangement. What does it mean? Lai Tingcheng reminds me of someone, the 7th powerful figure among the 9 great mystical sects. Jin Runki. This name is very unfamiliar to me. Regarding the 9 great masters of the Xuanmen, I am not familiar with it either. But since it was ranked 7th, at the very least, it's Mr. Chen. That kind of characters. Wan Pangzi said, it is said that Jin Runki died 40 years ago. It seems that back then, Jin Runki. It should have been a feigned death to deceive the person from the north, and the reason he was cursed. It's just to dispose of the corpse. Don't let that person from the north get his body. Actually, they had already calculated today long ago. There is still more. That fortune teller must have been arranged by deist Lai. He should be. Wan Pangzi's words suddenly stopped. He stared intently at the intersection in the distance, and frowned. I looked in the direction the fat man was gazing. It is a shadow of a person. On that figure, a child is crawling. It's the evil fiend. Lai Gang has arrived. Lai Gang walked towards us. I recited the incantation. The moment the crimson brand appeared, Lai Gang stopped in his tracks. Peace. Why must you oppose the Celestial Master? As long as you help us find deist Lai. Then we headed north together. I promise. The Celestial Master will never make things difficult for you. You are a master of the ghostly path. It won't reach you here. Just break it off. Lai Gang stopped in his tracks, advising me earnestly. Wan Pangzi coldly laughed. Is that the promise from that person in the north to you? The power of the Celestial Master has exceeded your imagination. The same. His inclusiveness is very strong. As long as you don't go against him and submit to him, he is fully capable of helping you block the fraud circles. Traitor, go die. For a Ligang who killed my great-uncle, all I have is endless hatred, even if he is already a living dead at this moment. I won't let him go either. I charged at him, but he did not retreat. Until I was about to get close to him, a shadow blocked his path. He was wearing wooden clogs, covered in tattoos. It is that master craftsman. Xiangxi, she threw the human bone prayer beads from his hand. Suddenly, a wave of malevolent energy swept in. The human bone rosary transformed into a gigantic skull, opened its mouth wide and pounced towards me. I wheeled the magnetic arrow. The skull let out a terrifying scream, like the wails of ghosts and howls of wolves. After I split the big skull apart, a swirl of black smoke rose up. Countless small skulls surged forth again from the black smoke. "Open your mouth." Jai Zhao lunged at me with a flurry of slashes. The chilling cry sent shivers down one's spine, until I had chopped those skulls to pieces. The magnetic arrow in hand had dimmed to almost no red glow. The surroundings were shrouded in dark mist. Everything has become unclear. Lai Lao Dai, what's wrong with you? Wang Pengzi's voice came through. But I can't see through the darkness at all. That ominous presence blocked my view. I calmed down until I smelled a whiff of blood. He cautiously raised the magnetic arrow again. The magnetic arrow fell. A burst of fresh blood gushed forth, splashing onto me and the magnetic arrow. At the same time, after the magnetic arrow fell, also grabbed by a big hand, there was no black smoke rising. That is not the evil mist. There is no malevolence either. It's Wang Pengzi's hand. Tanti, what is this? I saw the blood at the corner of Wang Pengzi's mouth. Clearly, the essence he just sprayed was his own. That should be the blood on his tongue. Just at that moment of shock and confusion, the surrounding black mist has also vanished. In the distance, Lai Gang and the sorcerer are staring at us. In the hands of the sorcerer, still holding that string of human bone prayer beads, as if nothing had ever happened. But the magnetic arrow in my hand, at this moment, but has already transformed into a circle. My mental strength is almost depleted. The chubby man wearily stared at the sorcerer. You just fell for his illusion. The human bone rosary in his hand. Very strange. It's what I used.